Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I am very excited because this interview is with two people, which always makes it fun when there's three people on the call. And it's always, great dynamic. And I feel like better conversations can kind of bounce off each other. So I have the pleasure of virtually having in front of me Katie and Gwen. They are the female founders of Beckon Ice Cream, and they're going to explain more about why you need to have that in your freezer. So Katie and Gwen, welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast.
Thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me on your live. That was I feel like forever ago, but it was maybe a month or so ago, right?
Yeah, it wasn't too long. It was so fun.
And I love that. So thank you for having me on that. That was awesome. So Katie and Gwen, the first question I always ask, so maybe each of you can answer this separately because I know you got into this for different reasons, but I would love for you to share who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do. So take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
Sure, I can go first. My name is Katie Flannery. I am the co-founder of Beckon. We started Beckon out of what was my personal need. So Gwen and I were friends in college and are obviously still friends today. But as I started to get older, I started to become more aware of my personal food journey and what foods were working for my body and what weren't. Gwen got a front row seat to what wasn't working. And so lactose was really at the forefront of that journey. And so I really was disappointed to not be able to have my favorite treat anymore. So I love ice cream. I love it for myself. I love sharing it with others. And so was inspired to create Beckon because the options on the market at the time were super medicinal and stigmatizing products, which I'm sure everybody knows which brands we're talking about, really economy style, chock full of corn syrup, gum stabilizers, and additives. And then the non-dairy alternatives, as far as they've come, are still viewed as an alternative. And so when I wanted to have my indulgent moment for myself as well as to share with others, I didn't want to feel like I was compromising or anybody else was feeling like they were compromising too. So that's really what started us here. But that was just that's a very small part of the history that we have together. So Gwen, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So like Katie mentioned, I'm Gwen. I'm her co-founder. And, after college, Katie and I went into separate careers. Katie actually used to be, she didn't mention this, but a pediatric ICU nurse. So kind of had that health background. Wow. And I went on to work in consumer goods marketing. So mostly in the beauty industry, but still kind of a similar, we call it CPG, consumer packaged goods background. So when Katie had this concept for Beckon and a premium lactose-free dairy ice cream, she came to me and we were talking about it. And I was like, we should do this. This is amazing. And it was kind of the twofold for me. I've always been really interested in entrepreneurship and building a business around a need. I just never came up with a very good idea. And so when she came to me with this, I was like, this is genius. This is exactly the kind of problem solution business that I would want to get involved in. But then the other side of it is I just really love ice cream. And I was like, I could never imagine not being able to enjoy real ice cream. So had to get on board to help bring it to more people across the country.
Also, Gwen, thank you for calling me a genius. I really appreciate that, especially considering your first question, Tony. I clearly am post lunch and have no brain all of a sudden and can't make words. So Gwen, I really appreciate that. But also too, what Gwen didn't share is that in college, I used to make everybody taste test products because once I discovered that lactose-free dairy was working best for my body, I would bring it home and be like, can you taste the difference between this milk? And could you taste the difference between this and this? And so I would say one day I will create the best lactose-free ice cream there ever was. And so I think that Gwen also too was I'm so annoyed having to hear this and like be a guinea pig for you. So like, let's just do it so that we can get this out of our system. So
I love it. Oh my God. That's amazing. I think that story is incredible. And I really enjoyed what you said about the fact that like, it's true when someone has an intolerance or a sensitivity or an allergy, they feel like they're being excluded. So I love that you created a product that really, with ice cream, I feel like the intent is to bring people together. That's the original intent. But just because your body can't digest it, that doesn't mean now you have to sacrifice what everybody else gets out of that experience. So I love the entire vision behind it. I think that's so great.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, you mentioned when you were in college, when did you know you were lactose intolerant?
So I started to figure it out around when I was 18. All through high school, I would have like a bowl of cereal and then just not feel great after, and didn't know why. And my mom's going to be so mad that I said this. She's like, you can't say this on podcasts. But they would tell me that I was anxious, and I was like, I'm not anxious. I just don't feel good. So,
wow. But imagine that being like denied of like your feelings, and you're trying to express like you don't feel good, and now it's being told that it's something that it's not. Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm sorry, Mom. My parents are both in healthcare. So I feel like if you have parents in healthcare, I don't know if you do, Tony, but, they go either way. It's like two extremes. You're either like super hypochondriac, everything is wrong, or you like are literally have to be on death's door to like get attention. And so my parents were like on that side, which they have made up for it like tenfold and have helped us so much with this business. So I apologize, Mom. But no, my parents are phenomenal people. But so anyway, and the thing about intolerance is as well, to your point about like being left out, even getting to the point where you can recognize that it's an intolerance because it's not an allergy, is also really hard.
Yes.
When we talk about gut health, it's multifactorial. So emotion is definitely tied to a lot of gut health for sure. But when you get sick, how close is it to whatever it is that you've consumed? It is really difficult to figure that out. So that was a journey that took a couple of years in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And then the isolation of what the problem was part of it, but then what foods worked best for me. So I initially, actually, after I realized I was lactose intolerant, I cut out all dairy. So I was like, okay, so dairy's not working for me. I cut it all out. And I actually swapped in a lot of the plant-based alternatives, which at the time was mostly soy-based, because this was more than a decade ago. And for my body, for my experience, it did not go well. It was like I was equally as sick as I was when I was having lactose. And I was like breaking out. My body was not having a good response to it. Mm-hmm. So then I went back to lactose-free dairy, and that really worked for me. So it was just that kind of insight to there has to be food for everybody, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. And so it's like, what is like what does my day look like? What's going to make me feel whole physically and emotionally? And so it was a long journey and a lot of, forward and backward momentum on it. But that's really when it started and how I got to where I am. Yeah,
I love that. And I also want to make a comment about the difference between an allergy and a sensitivity or an intolerance, right? And so I think where people struggle with it when they have an intolerance is they could almost have some of it to an extent before it's like too much where they feel sick, right? And we live in a society that really feels like, not that that's true, they feel like they can only work if it's all or nothing, if it's one or the other. So it's almost like if it's an allergy, it's easier. I just can't have it. I can't have any of it. I can't even figure out like how much do I have? I would love for you to speak to the listener who probably knows they're lactose intolerant, or maybe they have other sort of like, maybe they got or like they're pretty clear on the thing that doesn't make them feel very good, yet they still choose to eat it. How do we help that person to help them realize it's not worth it? What did you do? Okay. How did you change that?
Call me. It is not worth it. It's not worth it to not feel well. It's not worth it to not feel well if you know why, for like a minute in the day. And so I have been there. I was the cheater. Like I used to eat all the foods, and we would talk about it. I would have to go home and lay down, but it stinks. Like you're trying also socially to be a part of whatever table you're at, right? And so you want to indulge in what everybody else is indulging in. So there's that part of it. And so it's like that acceptance of how am I going to be here if I feel like there's something that's different. And this is like, a much larger question too. But it got to the point where like I would eat like 8 lactase pills and still get sick. And so that was pretty cut and dry for me that like this just isn't working. And so my suggestion and my thought is like, it is okay. And there are great options out there once you accept what it is that works for you. Mm-hmm. And I think just like having that conversation and just being in tune to what is working and what isn't. But then also, because something isn't working doesn't mean, to your point, that it's gone, right? Like especially if it's lactose and you're lactose intolerant, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can literally have milk and it's just lactose free. It's just removing the one thing that you can't have. So it's not like eliminating an entire food group. You're just reframing the way that you can indulge. And I think that, and it's just about being, on top of, well, what products can I have? And you just make the swaps. Like, and also too, as long as once you start down the journey, you kind of start to realize that it's more inclusive than it actually is exclusive. Like you can have Parmesan cheese and cheddar cheese and Asiago and anything that's aged. But like if you're cheating all the time, then it doesn't also allow your gut to heal. So if you do make a mistake, then that rebound makes you feel even worse, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, as long as your gut's healthy, say you do step out of the line, typically for most people, it doesn't hurt as much as when you're stressing your gut every day in and day out. So.
Right. I love that. Amazing.
And we also just add, this year, we kept hearing from our customers, like we would talk, even just like if we were telling someone about our business, we would like tell them about what we did. And then people would be like, oh, I'm probably lactose intolerant.
Yeah. People don't want to say it. It's like, just raise your hand.
Yeah.
I'm totally lactose intolerant. Or like, I think my dad's lactose intolerant. It's either that they're like, I'm probably a lactose intolerant, or I have someone close to me that I know is lactose intolerant. And so we actually did a campaign in January that was called the Stop ***ing yourself, because we're like, everyone's hitting themselves.
Yeah, I love it.
And that was like the big thing. So we were like, everyone's kidding themselves if they're like, oh, I'm probably, but maybe I'm not. It's like, just come to the other side, like find
see the light.
Like, yeah.
And like, especially if you live with someone, and I'm just going to speak for myself here. I am not lactose intolerant, but my partner is. I'm just going to say that. And it's like, why are you torturing yourself? And torturing me, because the gas is like ridiculous. It's just like, why? Can you just like, I understand that it's delicious and that you really want this in this moment, but it's just not worth it. Like, when are you going to see that it's just not worth it? Like, it's just, oh my God, you're torturing everybody.
I'm your self-deprecating lactose intolerant. Yeah, like that's Gwen and I like love the videos. Like I'm like the self-deprecating lactose intolerant that would like make fun of myself throughout the process. But I have to say, like, part of it, we were in college, and it's not like for me, it was not my most like secure time of like, I didn't feel the best about myself, right? It's like a coming of age period, and you're like meeting all these new people, and then like, going on dates and stuff. I'm like, the last thing that I want is to have to explain this one. And so that was really motivating for me to be like, I would like to go on a date and like know that I'm not going to need to be like, excuse me, I'm going to need 20. I'll sit a little bit, enjoy the cocktail or like whatever. So I think the social part of it, because I wanted to not have to leave, that was the bigger change. And then it was I don't want to have to leave. And then I don't want to be left out. And so like what Gwen was saying, our customers say this all the time, and everybody will find their way to whatever it is that makes them happy, whenever that is. But if anybody is out there and is like, I think I might be lactose intolerant, and you love ice cream, or you just like love dairy-based products, just call us. Like, we're happy to help, because we just don't want anybody to ever feel like they weren't able to indulge in whatever it is that they wanted to.
Yeah, I love that. I'm interrupting your podcast because I need to talk about poop. So sorry, but as a dietitian, I talk about poop a lot. And if you struggle with gas, bloating, diarrhea, acid reflux, and/or constipation, then you're definitely going to want to listen up. Gut Personal is the first line of personalized gut supplements, allowing you to create a customized protocol to address your symptoms, support your healing, and optimize your gut health. And the best part? Gut Personal was founded by my friend and colleague, registered dietitian Bridget Carroll. She has years of experience healing women's gut symptoms and improving their gut health. Also, bonus about Gut Personal, it's 100% female founded, funded, and staffed. Women empowerment for the win. All of the products are FDA tested and approved. So if you've been experiencing gas, bloating, diarrhea, acid reflux, and/or constipation, or even if you just want to take some preventative supplements to keep your gut strong and healthy, then I highly recommend starting your gut healing journey by taking their quiz at gutpersonal.com. This quiz was created to better understand your gut health symptoms so that you can get emailed product recommendations to support your healing and optimizing your gut health. Click the link in my show notes or go directly to gutpersonal.com to take the quiz, and make sure to use Tips with Tony 10 at checkout to get 10% off your order. I'm curious from a marketing standpoint, do you guys have I should probably have checked this out. Do you have information about lactose intolerance, just handouts and things of what is lactose? Because I just feel like that's just an extra support thing that you could just be emailing people who order your ice cream. I'm assuming you already do that.
So we have FAQs on our website to kind of help guide, because we're not medical professionals. We usually suggest that people do talk to someone like you or, their doctor. But one of the other things, I'm sure as an RD, you probably have other registered dietitian listeners. And we really love working with RDs. So they're such a great network for us to kind of get the word out, let customers know that this is available. Because at the end of the day, our mission is to allow more people to enjoy real ice cream. So we want to be able to let patients and customers know that this is available in any way we can. So if you're an RD out there and you're interested in partnering with us or getting, information or coupons, those are all things that we do, so you can pass it on to the people that you work with. Amazing.
Yes. You guys sent me coupons and I'm the worst. I lost them because I'm literally I lose everything that ever gets sent to me. It's terrible. I hate to admit it here.
That's okay.
Yeah, an email coupon would be amazing.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys
can send you that.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, that would be fabulous because that I won't lose. And I always star the things that are important. And I'm looking at your website here, and I would need to try every flavor. So
yes,
we can make that happen for you.
Peanut butter cup, brownie. Oh my God. So question, just because I'm just curious, for some who might be lactose intolerant, sometimes they might be gluten sensitive.
Yes.
Are they gluten-free? I'm seeing probably some are, maybe some aren't. One has cookie gems, so that's probably not gluten-free, I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we don't make any claims other than lactose free. And we do work in a shared facility. So that does also process soy and wheat and nuts. And we do have nuts and wheat in some of our products. Some of our products are inherently gluten-free because the raw ingredients don't have gluten in them, but we don't make that claim.
Gotcha. It's just not certified gluten-free, but there's some that just don't have gluten in it.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Just curious.
And we've also worked with a few registered dietitians that kind of consult on the low FODMAP diet. So our super simple flavors our vanilla or our sea salt chocolate chip, they're not registered as low FODMAP, but we have had registered dietitians
recommend them.
Look at the ingredients and recommend them as a low FODMAP product.
That's awesome. I also noticed you have snack cups. Yeah. I mean, listen, here's one thing I'll say, guys, if you have a healthy relationship with food, you can have the pint and trust that you'll be able to eat the amount that you need, but maybe you need a little bit of help with being able to monitor your portions. Because even though it might be better, you might not feel so crazy because it's, you have a lactose intolerance, it's lactose free. So your stomach might not hurt too much, but also anything you overindulge on, you're not going to feel quite well on. So like, tell me more about the snack cups. Do you have that in all flavors?
So we have 3 flavors of snack cups. So they come in, and the fun part about the snack cups are they're a little pre-portioned single serve cup, and they actually have toppings in the lid.
I know, that's what I'm staring at right now. I'm like, I need this. It seems so fun.
Yeah,
it's like the yogurt.
So fun.
It's like the yogurt's like,
exactly.
That's where we got the idea. And also may I recommend, sorry guys, but may I recommend taking like a little brownie, you know, the 2-bite brownie bites?
Yes.
You take one of those and then you smash it down on the top. Well, you put your sprinkles on and then you smash the brownie down on the top, and it is so good. And if you warm the brownie ahead of time, it's like the best, like little pre-portioned snack. But go ahead.
That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
And we have vanilla with rainbow sprinkles. We have dark chocolate brownie with chocolate cookie gems. And then we have our mint chip with like cream cookie crumble. And they're all available at Whole Foods in individuals and 4-packs. So those were a fun launch from last year.
That is amazing. And I heard you guys are also out. So the snack packs are only at Whole Foods, but then your other, like the Beck and ice cream you can get at what locations?
So we just launched in Kroger, about 1,400 Krogers. So we're really excited about that. And then we also launched, and this is just this week, into Walmarts in California, Washington, and Nevada. So all of the stores are on our website, so you can kind of see what's near you. And then we're available again in Whole Foods, Sprouts, and other natural retailers across the country as well. So
that's awesome. And would you guys ship it to people, or it's mostly just in stores?
We do have online. So if you go to www.beckandicecream.com, we have most of our products, mostly the pints, on our website for purchase. So
amazing.
Those anywhere except in the country except Hawaii and Alaska. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. And I was going to say, sorry to the international listeners, because I do get a lot of them, but most of the people are from the US. So they'll definitely appreciate being able to get it shipped to them. That's so cool. That's so good. Awesome. All right. Well, we're not done yet. I wanted to kind of switch a little bit to the conversation because I have a bunch of different people who listen to the podcast. So it could be other dietitians, other people just trying to live a healthier lifestyle, people who might struggle with their gut health or have like a lactose intolerance, but also a lot of business owners in like all different fields. Mm-hmm. And so you guys are a woman-owned business, which is awesome. And I love it. I love to support it. And I am just kind of curious if you could kind of speak to like how that journey has been. Has there been challenges? You feel like the product industry is mostly like male saturated, male dominated? Like, does that play a role? Like, how has this experience just in general been from growing a company from the ground up, being female founded?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I mean, for Gwen and I on one side of it, it's been amazing. Like Gwen and I are best friends from college. And if this is a very hard experience owning your own business, as you can attest to, and anybody out there who's it's very stressful and it's very hard. And it's brought Gwen and I's relationship, it's made our relationship even stronger. And it's been wonderful to be able to just like grow together as individuals, as women in business, and then in our friendship. It is obviously, has had challenges, for whether or not that's just because starting your own business is challenging, but also too just when you look at the statistics around women-owned businesses, less than 3% of venture capital goes to female-funded teams, and then less than 2% of female-run business or female-founded businesses ever make it to $1 million in revenue or more. So, to your question about is it male-dominated? Well, by the sheer number of less than 2%, and I think it's 7% of male-founded businesses make it to $1 million and more. So, when we're talking about kind of rising up and then dollars following dollars, and women just being able to, in more diverse teams, investing back into more diverse teams, that cycle just it needs support. And we definitely have seen progress. It's when we first started. Gwen, I don't know about you. I know we've talked many times, but it didn't really occur to me that it was going to be something that I would be made so well aware of. And I know that that sounds ignorant to say, but I was coming from healthcare and I was a nurse, which is very, very female dominated. And so I hadn't really, when I thought about making a career shift, it didn't occur to me that there would also be like a demographic and a representation shift as well, because again, I was coming from a very female dominated industry. Yeah. And it was eye-opening and enlightening, but also too, I would say empowering, right? It's like, we were told in the very beginning that we should probably bring in a male co-founder, like, so, because that would increase our chances of success. Like we were in an accelerator and one of the mentors said that to us, and we were, you know, in our 20s, like I was baffled, but it did knock us back a little bit. But it's just, I don't know. There's been little snippets like that, but then there's also been moments where it's like, no, like we are going to be part of the change. Like we are going to continue to do this. And so that the next group of women or diverse leaders or whoever it is that you are, it doesn't matter who you are. You should just be enough because you want it. And so go for it. And so it shouldn't have to be like that you're this picture of whatever someone else defined success to look like. And so, I would say, yes, it's obviously been challenging, but equal parts, like we're here for the challenge, right? Because we don't want it to always be that way. So go ahead, Glenn, sorry.
I love that you said being part of the change. Yes. Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah. And there are a lot of like badass women in CPG.
Badasses.
Like who are there now or like came before us. Like when we first started the business, we went to Whole Foods and we like looked at the shelves and found companies that we thought were kind of like might be small, but like that we really admired. And we literally like cold called founders, and a few of them, like the founder of Purely Elizabeth and the founder of Effie's Homemade, and the founder of Quinn Snacks, like all of them got back to us, which is so nice, and like talked about their journey.
Wow, that's awesome.
There have been a lot of like amazing female founders who like really, really do give back. But to what Katie was saying, I think one of the, despite like a lot of progress that has been made to kind of raise female founded companies up and, you know, maybe bring awareness to the situation, there's still, I think the biggest issue is still around capital, and consumer goods are a very capital intensive segment. Like you have to be able to get a product out to as many people as possible, which is what we want to do. We want everyone to be eating lactose-free ice cream. It does take a lot of capital resources. So I would say that that's like really one of the main part, even for any change that's happened. Like, I mean, 3% of venture capital going to female founded businesses is abysmal. So we gotta shift that. So
literally
even more success, and we can then pay it forward to those that come next. So
definitely. Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of work to start a business. And I feel like a product-based business, there's just so many other factors to consider. Like, that's why I was saying, like, if I ever do it, I'm going to definitely, Gwen, I'm going to be calling you. That is not my strong suit. I can coach you and provide service, and that's all I got.
You have to learn we like to do either.
Yeah.
And like what Glenn was saying earlier about the other female founders, and there's been other founders, you know, of every demographic that have been incredibly helpful. This is a very pay it forward industry, and it's something that has been one of the best parts of being in food and as an entrepreneur. And so if we can ever help anybody else, like we're so happy to. And I just always, we have tried to, even when you are small, I think for entrepreneurs out there, some advice my coach gave to me, actually, you know, I was saying how people were reaching out and asking us questions, and I was like, I don't really have anything to say. We're still so early in our journey. And she was like, what makes it feel like they wouldn't want to hear that, or like that wouldn't be helpful? And so I think it's just also to helping people with wherever it is that you feel like you can, even if you don't feel like you've like all the way made it yet, for whatever it is that you define that as, you can help people also get on their way and on their journey, because we need to see people continue to be raised up. And Gwen, what's the phrase that I just butchered this on the last interview, the rising tides,
rising tides lifts all boats.
There you go. Yeah. And so and that's what we want to be a part of that. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Wow. I mean, this is so good. I mean, I guess, Katie, one question I definitely want to ask you, because I feel like a lot of people in the nursing field right now are burnt out and thinking of changing careers and changing jobs. It sounds like you did this earlier before, or did you? When was, this was before the pandemic. You made this switch and everything, right? But I definitely know a lot of people, and there's definitely a lot of nurses that listening to this are just in the medical field or just like tired of healthcare. So what was it for you that made you decide, like, I'm just making this shift, this change, this big change of like instability and, just like not what you went to school for, kind of probably all the things that your head was telling you you shouldn't do, quote unquote, this is stupid, this is dumb, like, but I'm going to do it. Like, or like, exactly. how did you decide to make that shift?
I have always been interested in entrepreneurship. Again, my parents were in healthcare, and I love science. Food is very much chem. And so there was that relationship there, and it's not as far of as a transition. Sometimes in some ways it is, and in some ways it isn't, but I'm really just trying to help people in a different way, right? It's like nurses want to help others inherently. And so this is a different path, but I loved my journey through nursing. I was a PICU nurse for the majority of the time that I was a nurse. And so it was as rewarding as it was obviously incredibly challenging, but as rewarding as it was,
I feel exactly. Like emotionally takes a huge toll, because I'm sure you had really great, amazing days, but I'm sure you also had really sad days.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's for any family that ever ends up there, it's usually the worst day of their life. Right. And so it's not like, but there was something kind of like creative in me, like inherently that I was like just missing. Right. And so I had this passion for food. I had this passion for entrepreneurship and creating things and just like wanting to build something. And so I kind of always knew that I would probably make a shift out of nursing. I didn't necessarily know at the very beginning of like how solid that was or what that looked like. But so I think for your question about the burnout for our healthcare workers now, and I can't imagine what they've been through. Like I really can't. Like it's a tough industry. It's a tough job to begin with, and then to layer all of this on. So just thank you to everyone out there who's been a frontline worker, and thank you to our healthcare workers in particular. But I think that the burnout is real, but the cause of it has to be addressed. I think before the decision to like do something else or what that other thing is can really be made, because I do find that in life, it's not necessarily that this other thing that you want is necessarily going to be easier. That fire is just going to burn. It's going to burn hotter. And so like it allows you to sustain through those difficult and challenging times. And so if you're burnt out, take a break, like check in, get a coach, like reach out, like just address the burnout. And in that self-discovery, you may find your way back to whatever career you had before. Just maybe it looks a little bit different. And I think that a change in perspective, whether that's something you can achieve on your own, whether that's something that you can achieve through the help of others, change in perspective can also open up the doors for whatever it is that needs to come next for you to find fulfillment in your life. So I empathize with everybody who's wondering where they belong or what will they need to do to make themselves feel whole. I'm happy to talk to anybody if they're struggling with this. But I don't necessarily think that the next thing will necessarily like just inherently make you feel better, right? Because there's going to be challenges on the other side. But if anybody wants to start a business, making that flip, obviously, like I love that. It was great. I think the learning is the most exciting and invigorating part. And then to be able to do this with our amazing team, my friend, our families have helped us so much. And then our community and our customers and our retail partners, it's just been a really wonderful, very trying experience, but it's been a wonderful experience overall. And so I don't know if that like totally answers your question.
No, it definitely did.
Long-winded
that was beautiful. I definitely think that whatever you just said, like, is going to resonate with a lot of people for sure. So I really love that. Gwen, did you see yourself doing this right now? Like, did you think this was going to be something that you'd be doing years ago?
I definitely don't think that either one of us could have fully anticipated this. I mean, especially having gotten this far, I mean, we still feel like we're at the beginning of our journey, but also when we look back, we're like, wow, we've come a long way since the farmer's market. But
that's good. Wait, tell us how long. So yeah, let's go back to that, because I feel like that's a story that I think everyone always sees it. Like now you're in Walmart, you're in Whole Foods, you're in all the big places, but yet they didn't know you when you were in a farmer's market. Like when were you doing farmer's market?
Girl, it was a humbling grind. Gwen is not going to say this, so I'm going to say this for her, because everybody needs to know how tough my girl is. Gwen was living in New York City, working for a massive company, working crazy hours, and would get on the megabus. Nothing wrong with the megabus. If you like the megabus, go for it. But it's not the easiest, fastest mode of transportation. On Friday nights, arrive at my apartment at like 2 a.m, stay with me all weekend, and then go back to New York. Like we would work in the kitchen, work in the farmers markets, and then she would go back to New York into her job on Monday morning. Yeah.
And Katie and her mom would like on weeknights, like go into the commercial kitchen and like make batter. And then we like, all of us would be in there on Saturday making ice cream. And then, yeah, we did a farmer's market in Boston for 2 summers. And it was pretty much like May through October. So really like half the year. And we, at that time we were like under a different name, and it was just like us testing the waters.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like our side hustle. And then in the middle of the second summer is when, you know, we started going full time. I moved up to Boston to work on it full time. And then it was kind of like this slow build, you know, we started going into like a few stores. And at that point, Whole Foods, you could kind of like go to the individual locations and talk to the buyer.
Yeah.
And so we did that and just started to like kind of make our way into more and more stores. And then after kind of like, I think it was a year or year and a half in just our region of Whole Foods and some other like independent stores, we got taken nationwide with Whole Foods. So yeah, in 2019. So that was very exciting. That was definitely like a big inflection point for us. Then kind of followed up the next year with Sprouts out more in the West Coast. And then this year with Kroger and Walmart. So it's been like, you know, every new year, there's kind of like a new challenge, but very exciting to kind of like look back and be like, I remember when we were making this ice cream ourselves and like taking it to the farmer's market and selling it in cups to people. So
I love that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Every level, there's a new challenge, but it's because you're growing.
Yeah.
That's it. You know,
we do have to remind ourselves that that's why the challenges are there. Because sometimes they do feel similar, right? And Gwen just was coaching me on this last week. We had a challenge that we were facing, and I was like, well, we've had this challenge year over year over year. And Gwen was like, you know, we have to take a step back and recognize that it's actually different because we've continued to grow and grow. And so, yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, but we also, like Gwen said at the very beginning, we feel like we're still at the starting line. So we want to solve this problem for as many people as possible. And we're just starting to do so. So
I hear you. I wonder how long it takes for you to feel like you got it. Does that ever go away? I don't know.
I don't know.
I look forward to the day.
I feel like I'm still just getting started too. And like, people might look at me like you're insane, but like, I genuinely feel that way. Like I think it's because you're always becoming a beginner because you're trying new things constantly. So you almost like never feel like you're an expert. I guess I could say as like a dietitian in nutrition coaching and counseling, I feel, but it's been almost 10 years. Like, I think it takes like a long time. Like, you know,
too. And I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, especially as entrepreneurs, most entrepreneurs don't like to be bored, right? And it's just like, that's a personality trait. We're gluttons for punishment. And so I think like that feeling of like, I've made it and I feel okay. Gwen and I have also gotten to points where like, if we start to feel that way, are we not trying hard enough? Are we not pushing hard enough? So there's there's this constant internal, I feel like, push and pull as to what defines like our success and where are we on that spectrum. But it's important, and I'm sure you feel, I don't know if you feel this way too, but we've had the thought where even if we're not sure that we're there or how close we are to like what success feels like, we do have to stop and celebrate the wins, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're terrible at that because we're just always trying to do the next thing, but it is what helps you fuel through the harder parts too. So we can all keep each other honest on, okay, maybe you don't feel like your feet are under you, but like you did a really good thing with X, Y, and Z. So, good on you. So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is an amazing. Any last words, comments?
I think just, anyone who's interested in Beckon or learning more about us or figuring out where to find it near them, beckonicecream.com or at Beckon Ice Cream on social media. We love to engage with customers and people. So definitely reach out.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll make sure to put your links in the show notes. Guys, make sure you give them a follow, especially if you are lactose free or someone who is, or maybe you just want to try some really good ice cream. Make sure you give them a follow. And if you're not subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. When you're subscribed, you get notified when a new episode comes out. And if you feel really inclined to write a review, that will be even better, because the more reviews I get, then the more people will find the podcast. That means more people are going to know about Beckon. The more people are going to know about just in general how to live a healthier lifestyle. And the more people are going to feel good and do good in this world. So thank you for listening, guys. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.
Tip with Tony.